Hello, John.
Hello, David. How are you?
Fine, and you? Hello, Rabbi.
How's it, Dave?
Fine, thanks, and you?
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, let us get the screen share going. We've got an exciting topic today.
It's a new section now, isn't it?
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we still have about a minute to go, so we'll give people a chance to get here.
Yeah, gives me a chance to make some notes. Rotzeach ushmirat nefesh.
Rotzeach is a murderer,
Oh, a murderer.
and Shmirat Nefesh means saving a soul, saving life.
Rabbi, yes, how's everyone?
How's it, Ken?
Hello, Kent.
All good, thanks.
Hello, Kent.
Okay. So as I said in the teaser, we got an exciting chapter today. Fasten your seatbelts. We'll give it a minute or so. And in light of the Roe versus Wade controversy in the United States, we will give you the Jewish view on abortion in today's chapter. Close my curtain.
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah, see you well now.
But before you could see the light, now you're just seeing me.
Yeah.
Better you should see the light than the rabbi.
No, rather the rabbi. I've seen the light.
I'm still looking. Okay, let's get started. So, Hilchas Rotzeach Ushmiras Nefesh, introduction to the laws of a murderer and saving life. 17 mitzvahs in this section, 7 positive, 10 negative. 1, thou shalt not murder. 2, not to accept ransom from a murderer to save him from execution. The murderer says, listen, I'll give you $1 million in return for my life. And the family of the victim would love to take $1 million. What did I get from him dying? Doesn't help them. The million could go a long way. Can't do it. To exile a person who killed inadvertently. If it was an accident, he goes to the cities of refuge, which we've been learning in the Parshas these weeks. Not to accept ransom from a person who killed inadvertently. You can't buy your way out of exile either. Not to kill a murderer directly after the murder. He has to stand trial first. Everybody's entitled to a fair trial. Then and this is where the abortion will come in, to save a person who is being pursued by killing the pursuer. Details to follow. On that note, not to have mercy on the pursuer, not to stand idly by when a colleague's life is in danger. Thou shalt not stand idly by the blood of thy neighbor, straight out of the Bible. You can save someone's life, you have a moral obligation to do so. To set aside cities of refuge and to prepare the roads leading to them. They have to make wide, broad roads with big signs, refuge, refuge, this way. So people who are running for their lives to escape vengeance of the victim's family, if they killed someone accidentally, could get to the city of refuge and safe haven quickly. Next week is Parsha Shoftim. At the end of next week's Parsha Shoftim, we have the laws of Egla Arufa, where they take a person is found murdered on the road. We don't know who did it. You have to measure the closest city, and the elders of that city have a whole strange ritual, and they break the neck of a calf in a wadi. You know what a wadi is?
Like a stream, isn't it?
It's near a river, but unworked land, very specific where it has to be. And there's a whole chapter on that coming later. Never to till or seed the land where this calf was killed. Never grow anything there. Then in general, not to create dangerous situations. So you have to build a guardrail. If you have a flat roof as an entertainment area, it's called a mica. I would say that included in this rule of a guardrail on your roof is a fence around your swimming pool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there have been tragic accidents over the years.
Yeah.
So in general, we have to take precautions. 14, not to give bad advice to someone. Sometimes we deliberately mislead people, especially if you might be a used car salesman and you'd say, what a great car this is, when it's a real 100% lemon, you know? But that has many, many applications. It's fascinating how not to cause a well-meaning person to blunder. There's a whole chapter on it later, but I mean, the language in the Bible is don't put a stumbling block before the blind. It doesn't just mean that you shouldn't trip a blind person who's walking. What kind of Jew would do such a thing? It means not to trip people up when they are blind to the reality of something. Then to help a person whose animal collapses on a road to unload it, together with the owner to reload the animal, not to leave him helpless with his burden. That has to do with the second part of we said murder and saving people's lives, basically helping people. That's how that comes in. Okay, chapter 1. So which commandment is thou shalt not kill in the 10 commandments? Number
3, is it?
Nope.
Number 4.
Nope. Last chance. The top of the second tablets.
Oh, yeah, yes, number 6.
Whenever a person kills a human being, he transgresses the negative commandment, do not murder. If a person kills a Jew intentionally in the presence of witnesses, he should be executed by decapitation. Okay, we're not the Taliban exactly, but they would kill him by sword, and it would be decapitation, I'm sorry to say. It's hard to, I shudder just saying it, but that's the law. This is implied where it says in Exodus, when a person kills a servant, vengeance will certainly be executed. Okay. He has to pay for his crime. When he kills the victim, whether he kills him with an iron weapon or burns him with fire, it doesn't matter. The law is he was killed by the sword. 2, it is a mitzvah for the blood redeemer, Goel Hadam. Who's the blood redeemer? Anybody know? He gets the privilege of doing the actual killing of the murderer. Who's the blood redeemer?
the executioner.
The family.
So it's the family member. It's the next of kin who gets who is given the I don't know. I don't want to say pleasure, but given the job. If he doesn't want to do it or he can't do it, then the court executes him, and there's professionals. Now here's a crazy story, tragic story. If a father kills his own son, now if the son has a son, so the son is the next of kin, so he's supposed to kill the murderer. So the son is going to kill his Zayda. Sounds terrible. But that's what it says. If he doesn't have a son, none of the victim's brothers become the blood redeemer, who must kill their own father. Instead, he must be executed by the court. So apparently you could kill your grandfather, but not your father. Both a male and a female may become blood redeemers.
Grandfather goes to the city of refuge.
I'm sorry?
I guess the grandfather goes to a city of refuge.
City of refuge, if it is done by accident. If it was not premeditated murder, it was committed inadvertently, it was a mistake, like a car accident, God forbid. Or in Israel last week, there was a guy got shot by friendly fire, Nebuch. Terrible.
Yeah.
Nobody says it was on purpose. It was clearly an accident. Poor guy has to live with this. Can you imagine? Then you go to the city of refuge. But if it was premeditated murder, that's when it's a capital crime and there's capital punishment in biblical law. Number 4, we may not accept ransom from the murderer to save him. So I said before, he offers $1 million to spare his life, give it to the victim's family. The victim's family do not have the right to accept it, even if he gave all the money in the world, billions. And even if the blood redeemer was willing to forgive him, the family want to take the money. It's not going to bring him back. Give us the money. We can live comfortably at least. Sorry. The law is, if he took someone's life deliberately, he has to pay the price. At the end of the day, I would just mention that when a person is subjected to capital punishment, it's not punitive. It is also spiritually rehabilitative. In other words, how does a sinner get atonement for his sin? So you can wait for Yom Kippur. You do teshuvah, you repent. But if you took someone's life deliberately, premeditated murder, just saying sorry is not good enough. And giving money is not good enough. Selling your house to give every penny you have, the shirt on your back is not good enough. You took a life. There's no worse sin in the world. The only way you can be redeemed and get atonement is by giving up your own life. So when you are subjected to capital punishment for murdering someone, that is how you attain atonement, actually. So your soul is cleansed by the fact that your life was given up for your sin. Like if a person does something which requires lashes, once he gets lashes, he's innocent, he's atoned. He goes back to his innocent state. So too here, when this guy's soul goes up, he's been redeemed, he's been atoned by his death. The rationale is that the soul of the victim is not the property of the blood redeemer, but the property of the Holy One, and he commanded, do not accept ransom. There's nothing that the Torah warns so strongly against as murder, as it also states, besides thou shalt not murder, it says, do not pollute the land in which you live, for taking people's blood pollutes the land. 5, murder kills willfully, he should not be killed by witnesses or observers. They see 2 witnesses saw him killing, so they could take his life. No, he has to be brought to court, and the court will go through it. And in Jewish law, we don't accept circumstantial evidence. It has to be 2 witnesses, eyewitnesses. As the verse says, a murderer shall not be put to death until he stand before the congregation and judgment. The law applies to all those liable for execution by the court. They should not be executed until their trial is completed by the court and the court sentences them to death. When does this apply? Number 6, when the person has already transgressed and performed the transgression for which he's liable for execution. However, if he's in the process of murdering someone, he's chasing, he's pursuing, he's a rodef, he is pursuing someone to kill him. He's got an unsheathed sword or a gun in his hand, and he's chasing someone. I'm going to kill you. And he's running after the guy, and the guy's running for his life. Even if the pursuer is a minor, every Jew is commanded to attempt to save the life of the person who is being pursued, the would-be victim. Even if it is necessary to kill the pursuer to stop him in his tracks. If there's no other way to stop him in his tracks other than taking his life, you are morally obligated to take the life of the pursuer. Now, you don't know what the guy who's being pursued may have done. Maybe he told him he's ugly or something. I don't know. Maybe he stole money from him. Maybe he killed someone in his family. We don't know. But this is not the way we do justice. We don't just go killing people, no matter what the guy did. Bring him to court if he did something wrong. This is not the way we do the law. So if someone is running after someone else to kill him, the pursuer is wrong. No matter how wrong the pursued may have been, this is not the way we do things. And therefore, the pursuer who is attempting to kill him is wrong. He's an attempted murderer now. And if you see someone attempting to murder someone, you have to stop him in his tracks. So, 7. If the rodef, the pursuer, was warned, he said, don't do this, you can't kill people, take him to court. And he continues, nonetheless, to pursue his intended victim. Since he continues his pursuit, he has to be stopped in his tracks. If it's possible to save the pursued by damaging one of the limbs of the rodef, the pursuer, trip him up, make him fall, and the guy will get away, that's the easiest. If you can't just trip him up, you got to actually hurt him. You got to shoot him with an arrow, or hit him with a stone or a sword, or maim him in one way or another, break his hand or leg, blind him. In other words, stop him in his tracks, not by killing him, but by injuring him, so he can no longer pursue the victim, then that should be attempted first. Only if there's no other way to stop him, other than killing him, then you have to kill him. Now, he hasn't yet killed a man, so he's not a murderer, but he's an attempted murderer. But you have to wait until the guy's dead before you stop him? You don't have to wait till he's dead, till he kills the guy. You see what his intention is. And the verse says clearly, if a man is fighting with his brother and the wife of the one grabs the attacker by his private parts, you must cut off her hand. You may not show pity. So that's a specific case. But it applies to all such similar things. From this, we derive that if you see someone is threatening someone's life, you have to stop them and show no pity. So there's no difference whether she grabs his private parts or any other organ that imperils his life. Similarly, the rodef, whether the pursuer is a man or a woman, makes no difference. Whenever a person intends to strike someone else with a blow that will kill him, the pursued should be saved by cutting off the hand, unquote, of the pursuer, meaning stop them in their tracks by injuring them or maiming them if necessary. If nothing else works, then you have to take his life to save the life of the would-be victim. And number 9, this is a mitzvah not to take pity on the life of the pursuer. From this, the rabbis derived the law of abortion. Now, you know that, so it's a big controversy now in America, Roe versus Wade. The Supreme Court just struck down an abortion allowing piece of law in the United States that's been on the books for decades. And we now have a conservative Supreme Court that is more pro-life than pro-choice. And what is a Jewish? So the Catholics are very strict. They say better 2 deaths than 1 murder. Let the mother and child die rather than do an abortion, because they consider abortion murder. The Protestants are more lenient. The Jewish view is, just very briefly, I have a whole lecture on abortion, but just very briefly, because it's only one halacha here in a chapter, but it's a very pertinent and topical issue. Very briefly, the Jewish view is, generally, abortion is prohibited. People have an unwanted pregnancy because the birth control pills didn't work, or they thought they're past menopause and suddenly at 48 years old they find themselves pregnant, or they decided that they can't budget for another child. None of this are reasons to allow an abortion in Jewish law. However, if there's a difficult pregnancy and the woman is in a difficult labor situation, and the doctors say that the woman's life is in danger, they don't abort the fetus, the woman will die. Then between the unborn fetus and the mother's life comes first, because she is already alive. The fetus, although there's a degree of life to the fetus, we don't treat it lightly, but it's not yet full-blown life because it hasn't been born yet. So between the mother's life and the fetus's life, the mother comes first. So to save the life of the mother, you may do an abortion in Jewish law. And then there are ramifications of that. What if a person is going to crack up mentally if she has another child? You know, she can't take it emotionally. Her psychiatrist says she'll commit suicide. So that's also saving her life. So there are other extensions of what it means life-saving. But here the Rambam gives an interesting principle. Number 9. On this basis of the law of Rodef, of the stopping the pursuer in his tracks, our sages ruled that when complications arise and a pregnant woman cannot give birth, it is permitted to abort the fetus in her womb, whether with a knife or with drugs. For the fetus has the status of a rodef, of a pursuer. The fetus is threatening the life of the mother. So it's as if the fetus is the pursuer with a knife trying to kill the mother. However, if the head of the fetus emerges from the womb, that is the halachic definition of birth. When the head has emerged, the child is already alive. Now, there's no difference between the mother's life and the child's life, because they're both alive. Then if the head of the fetus emerges, it should not be touched, because you may not sacrifice one life for another. The mother may die, God forbid, but this is the nature of the world. We do the best we can, but we can't choose. You know, you can say, what do you mean? She's got 6 other kids, they need the mother. Not for us to make those decisions. Only God can make those decisions. Practically speaking, you know, logically, we would say we need the mother more than another kid. But we're not allowed to weigh in on that. That's God's department. Only He is the author of life and death. But from here we see that Judaism is not as strict as Catholicism, for example, who say that better 2 deaths than 1 murder. And when the mother's life is in danger, then abortion is permissible. And as I say, there are quite a number of extensions to that law. 10. The laws of Rodef apply whether a person is pursuing a colleague with the intent of killing him or a maiden that had been consecrated with the intent of raping her. How's this, okay? Sorry, there are no women here. This tells us that in Torah law, someone is about to rape a woman, you can stop him in his tracks, and if you have no way of stopping in his tracks other than killing him, you may kill him to prevent him from raping a woman. You can't say, oh, it's only rape, she'll survive. So the Torah establishes an equation between murder and rape. Just as when a man arises against his colleague and kills him, so too is this matter. That is the rape of a consecrated maiden where she was in the field and she cried out that nobody was there to answer her. Sorry?
Sorry?
Okay. So where it says that the consecrated maiden cried out and there was no one to save her because she was in the field, not in the city. From this, we learn that if someone can save her, he has a moral obligation to do so, using all means possible. First, trying to stop him, to beat him up or tie him up or put handcuffs on him or zip up his pants or whatever you have to do to stop him from the act. If nothing else will work, you're even obligated to take his life to stop him raping an innocent woman. 11. The same laws apply with regard to any woman forbidden as an erva, but not to relations with an animal. So any woman who he's not allowed to be intimate with, like it's an interesting thing. He doesn't say it here, but I'm wondering. Let's say he's pursuing his own wife. He's married to her. He's allowed to be intimate with her. But you're not allowed to rape your wife. That's also in the Rambam in a different chapter. In fact, if a husband, 800 plus years ago, the Rambam ruled, this has only become in civilized Western societies, only in our generation have they legislated against marital rape. Until our generation, marital rape was presumably permissible. Woman belongs to her man, he can do what he likes. That was the old-fashioned chauvinistic way. Now, in recent decades only, have the courts in Western societies ruled against marital rape. The Rambam over 800 years ago ruled against marital rape. Look how advanced Jewish life and culture and civilization and halacha is to the rest of the world's moral codes. Over 800 years, we're 800 years ahead of Western so-called civilization, that we forbid marital rape. And if he does so and he hurts her, he has to pay his wife damages, says the Rambam. So let's say you see a guy, so I'm not sure you have, but still, I'm not sure you have to kill a husband who's attempting to rape his wife. Not sure about that. But regard to anyone who is forbidden to him. But let's say he's in New Zealand and he's running after a sheep. You don't have to kill him. What about if he's homosexual and he's pursuing a male to commit sodomy, to rape a male? One may save a man from being raped by killing the intended rapist. We're in the middle of 11. If one pursues an animal with the intent of sodomizing it, or one seeks to perform a forbidden labor on Shabbos or worship idols, although the Shabbos and prohibition against idolatry are fundamental principles of our faith, we don't kill the person. wanting to do that. He should rather be brought to court. So those guys who throw stones on Shabbos, for guys who drive on Shabbos, that's not our way. 12. If a person pursued a woman forbidden as an erva, took hold of her, inserted the head of his organ within her, the corona, I think it's called, he may not be slain, even though he has not concluded sexual relations, he must be brought to court. So in other words, it's basically the act is done. So there's no point in killing him now. Now you take him to court. If a man was pursuing a woman forbidden to him, and other men were pursuing him to save her, and she tells them, leave him alone so he doesn't kill me. So he's threatening to kill her if she doesn't let him have his way with her. They should not listen to her. Instead, he should be intimidated and prevented from raping her by maiming his limbs. If he cannot be prevented by maiming, his life may be taken. When a person could prevent a murder or a rape by maiming the rodef's limbs, but did not take the trouble and right away killed him, he is regarded as one who shed blood and is himself liable for death. Nevertheless, he should not be executed by the court. God will deal with such a person. You're obligated morally to first try and stop him without killing him. Only if all else fails should you kill him. Now, to mind your own business and not get involved when you see someone's life being in peril is not the Jewish way. The Torah says clearly, Lo samoid al dam re'echa, you shall not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. You see someone's blood is at stake, someone may be dying. You have to get involved. You have to try and save a life. It's a mitzvah. You can't say, I don't want to get involved. I'm busy. I'm reading the newspaper. Don't bother me. Similarly, this commandment applies when a person sees a colleague drowning at sea. You got to save the guy. Unless you don't know how to swim. Then don't go in. But call the lifeguards, throw him a pole to drag him in, do whatever you can. If you see someone being attacked by robbers or wild animal, and he can save himself or can hire others to save him, he must do whatever he can to save the person who is under attack, whose life is in danger. Similarly, it applies when he hears Gentiles or Jewish informers conspiring to harm a colleague or planning a trap for him, and he doesn't tell him about it and notify him of the danger. Again, he's standing idly by the blood of his neighbor. Similarly, if a person knows of a Gentile or a powerful mafioso or something who has a complaint against the colleague and he can appease the aggressor on behalf of the colleague, but fails to do so, he's also sinned. In all analogous instances, a person who fails to act transgresses the commandment, do not stand either by your brother. Now, so let's say you're walking in Johannesburg and you see somebody being mugged. What should you do? Should you get involved and get killed in the process? So I can't give you a blanket answer. Every circumstance is unique. If it's, if it's one single guy who is unarmed and you can stop him, then you should. If it's 16 guys with AK-47s, I don't recommend that you get involved. In fact, halachically, you should not. That's suicide. What about if it's a gray area? The guy has a knife, or maybe he has a knife. Can I stop him? I don't know. I haven't done judo. I'm not good at combat. What's it called? Krav Maga. Huh?
I know.
Krav Maga in Hebrew. What's it called in English?
Krav Maga, martial law.
What's it in English?
I think
And
that's
So-called martial
hand-to-hand,
art.
hand-to-hand combat, whatever. I mean, if it was me, I'm not a fighter. I have no experience in fighting. So, if it was a drunk guy who stopped the woman, they could probably get rid of the drunk, But if it's a young hoodlum, a tzotzi with a knife, he might kill me, God forbid. I don't know. So if it's a gray area and you're not sure, should I be a hero or am I going to be a fool and lose my life? The Torah leaves it to the judgment of the individual. If he decides to get involved and he is successful, he'll be regarded as a tzaddik and a hero. If he says it's too dangerous, I can't put my life at risk, he will not be condemned. So in those gray areas, it's up to the individual. "15, when a person sees a rodeh pursuing a car to kill a woman to rape her, and he has the potential to say that, and yet fails to do so, so where he clearly can help and he fails to do so, he has negated the observance of the positive commandment, you shall cut off her hand, and the two negative commandments, you may not show pity on the pursuer, and you may not stand idly by while your brother's blood is at stake." So if you can help and you desist, you violated 3 Torah commandments. Finally, even though lashes are not given as punishment for the transgression of these prohibitions, because they do not involve committing a forbidden deed, you didn't do anything, you were passive. If you're passive, you never get lashes. But it's very severe to violate these 3 prohibitions. For whoever causes the loss of a Jewish soul is considered as if he destroyed the entire world. And as you know, whoever saves a Jewish soul is considered as if he saved the entire world. So think very carefully before you decide not to get involved. Okay, quick quiz. What is the punishment for intentionally killing another Jew in the presence of witnesses?
Decapitation.
Decapitation 1.
Decapitation.
Yeah,
Number 1.
May a woman be a blood redeemer to take the life of the one who killed her relation?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. May a woman abort a fetus if it is endangering her life?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless
Look
Number
carefully.
2.
Look carefully before you answer.
Number 2.
Number 2. Yeah.
Yep. If one killed the pursuer when he could have maimed him, is he a murderer?
Number 2.
Number
Yeah.
2.
Number 2 is correct. He is definitely guilty of taking a life, but we do not. The court does not put him to death. We leave that to Hashem.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rabbi.
Hey,
Have a good week, everybody.
You too.
too.
All the best.
Shabbat
You will.
Tov.
Be well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.